Hi, my name is Ben, and this is my demonstration video for my SER 316 Assignment 5, which is a hospital simulation program. First, we're going to go ahead and clone the Git repository. And then we'll go ahead and CD into the project folder. And we're going to do Gradle build. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and show you my repo here on GitHub. So you can see we're on main. We'll go through all of my commits here. And then if we look at our action CI, here we can see the latest workflows and are running and everything passes. If you go into the most recent one, you can see both the build and the dependency submission are passing, and then we also have spot bugs and check style included here. Alright, if we navigate back over to our build here, we can see all of our tests are passing. We also don't have any spot bugs or check style output showing up. If we take a look at the spot bugs testing here, this one is for main. You can see there's no violations. For test, there's no violations. Spot bugs is not showing up any bugs for test or main. And then if we look at our code coverage, we're at 79%. Next, we'll navigate over to the program here and take a look at the strategies that I implemented. So I used a strategy pattern to control how different types of patient flows are simulated during the day. The core interface here is the hospital strategy pattern, and then there are several concrete strategies such as our normal day, busy evening, and emergency rush. And then for fun, I also added a zombie apocalypse for the final hour that we can toggle on or off. The simulation doesn't hard code any rules about arrivals or event logic. It simply calls the strategy based on the time of day. And this makes the system flexible, easy to extend, and you can swap behaviors without rewriting the simulation. I also implemented the observer pattern using our hospital observer interface, and then two classes observe the simulation. We have a hospital status reporter for outputs, and then a hospital notification observer for life cycle changes, print alerts, and shift summaries. The simulation gives an update every hour, and each observer reacts independently to keep the simulation completely decoupled from its output formatting or notification logic, making it much easier to maintain or modify. Both of the patterns work well together. The strategy pattern controls what happens inside each hour, like patient arrivals, emergencies, or events. The observer pattern controls what gets reported every hour, like status tables, alerts, staff summaries, and final metrics. And then one produces the behavior and the other reacts to it. I also used a simple factory pattern here just for our object creation with the patients, so it's done in a consistent way. And we saw that our code coverage was at 79%. Down here I have test classes that relate back to most of the core classes, and we saw those tests passing with the build. If we go back over to our command prompt here, we'll go ahead and run the program with Gradle, and we'll take a look at the output here. So each hour there's a printout for our night or day shift. We have our current patients on hand, and then total patients seen. We have a list of our staff and our available rooms. And there's a summary of the patients here, where their priority is, their status, if they're currently in a room, and who they're working with, either a doctor or a nurse. And then a list of our current staff on hand here. They each have a capacity, and it shows if they're assigned to somebody currently. And then we have our available rooms here. And then each hour there's also notifications and alerts that are being printed out based on things that are happening in the hospital. So a new emergency patient has arrived, or a room becomes available, or if there's a patient that's discharged. And then if we navigate down to the bottom here, you'll just see that the simulation ran for 24 hours. And then we have a final simulation roll-up. So we have an average wait time, average emergency response time for our critical patients. We can see that we completed 90% of our treatments with our patients that were incoming, and then our total staff worked 48 hours. And then for fun, I'm going to go ahead and show you our zombie apocalypse mode for the final hour. So if we set this to true to turn it on here, and then we'll go back and we'll do another Gradle run. And now we can see in that last hour we get a lot more critical patients here. There's also a zombie outbreak summary at the bottom here. You can see the staff is overwhelmed or deceased, and then it kind of shows how many total patients were exposed and lists out the survivors. So thank you so much.